It's the series that began its journey on PS3 back in 2007. Players were introduced to protagonist Nathan Drake from the very beginning. Since this moment, they've joined him on a trilogy of epic action-adventure. And for over a decade, players have been hunting for treasure, fighting the bad guys, and learning who Nathan Drake really is. Finally, after years in development and multiple delays, the famed third-person shooter has its last installment. Well, at least as far as developers Naughty Dog are concerned. If you haven't guessed it by now, we're talking about Uncharted. Over at N2K, we're taking it back to the very beginning to explore how the series has got to where it is today. And it all began with Drake's fortune. The first game in the series swiftly introduced players to Nathan Drake, a man that would fast become the backbone of the entire series. Nathan was tasked with hunting down the fabled city of El Dorado, alongside supporting characters Victor Sullivan and Alina Fisher. And like any great introduction to a series, the gameplay mechanics were immediately set out. Navigating through the luscious terrain and collecting hidden treasures were two of the core pillars of not only Drake's fortune, but each game to follow. Which leads us to Naughty Dog's second title in the series in 2009 with Among Thieves. And this time the game's director, Neil Druckmann, was determined to push the series further.
It felt like with Uncharted 2, we really have something to prove. Let's tell a more complex story. Let's get deeper into who this character is. Let's show some of his flaws. Let's get into some of his vulnerabilities, his insecurities as a character.
Although similar in many respects to Drake's fortune, Naughty Dog took the Uncharted series to new heights. The stakes were higher, the enemies were tougher, and the landscapes were more beautiful. It was in Among Thieves that the story truly came into its own. Like most games, storytelling carries the player from start to finish, an aspect the creators were keen to stick to for Uncharted. The developers introduced memorable characters that would join the player for the entire series. It was the third in the series, Drake's Deception, which became vastly different to its predecessors. Alongside clear improvements, both graphically and systemically, developers Naughty Dog decided to focus a lot of time on Nathan Drake's backstory. And lead game designer, Amelia Schatz, reveals this shift of focus was inspired by another game the developers had been working on in between the Uncharted series, The Last of Us.
After making The Last of Us, I think that influenced a lot in making a more personal story with Uncharted. But at the same time, you know, we love Uncharted. This is still the Uncharted that you've always loved. It's just there's more layers to it.
Although alongside the intimate storyline came the usual fundamental traits to any Uncharted game. And after years in the making, with each aspect ready for a new test, the baton has finally been passed on. Players can now launch themselves into the conclusive game in the series, A Thief's End. This time round, Nathan Drake reunites with his brother Sam to embark on one final adventure.
How long have we been chasing this thing?
Long time.
Real long time. Just you and me. No offense to these guys, but they don't get it.
For the first time ever, Naughty Dog has brought Nathan Drake to next-gen console PlayStation 4. And this big move left the game developers with more processing power than they could ever imagine. Naughty Dog's Arnie Meyer reveals how this enabled the team to make the game they've always wanted to create.
Uncharted 4 is the culmination of everything we've learned in the Uncharted series from all of the games before. We set out to create what we think is the best version of Uncharted, the version of Uncharted we've always wanted to do. So it goes far beyond everything we've been able to do in the previous installment.
Set 3 years after the events of Drake's deception, Nathan Drake steps out once again on the hunt for long-lost treasure. With his brother by his side, the pair set off to find Libertalia, the pirate utopia deep in the forests of Madagascar. Players are promised a journey around the globe in search of Captain Henry Avery's fortune. And Naughty Dog decided to create this journey with the most advanced technology possible. With hand animation used for the previous 3 games, this time round, the developers utilized head cameras. A change that cinematic animator Eric Baldwin believes has transformed A Thief's End.
Now we're in a unique situation that we're now capturing those actors' faces and we're getting all the great details that brings in, and then we inject the look and feel that we've come to expect from the characters that we know.
And whilst the series has evolved with time, so have the creators. So it seemed only fitting to art director Rob Ruppel that Nathan Drake aged alongside them.
I mean, he looks like a kid in 1 because of the smoothness of the textures, because of the smoothness of the modeling. And back then, that was really good, right? And as we got better and as the platforms got better, you can see him not only get more complex and more sophisticated, but he also is aging. We're showing more of the things that we could not show before. The subtlety of wrinkles, the subtlety of skin pores.
The globe-trotting adventurer has been through a lot alongside his colourful cast of supporting characters. And multiplayer, as far as players are concerned, has played a big part in the game's interior. Which is why one of the announcements leading up to the game's release was one of the biggest. Naughty Dog revealed that while they would be releasing downloadable content all the way through to spring 2017, all this additional gameplay would be free. All in the hope of keeping an even playing field between their community. But while players can look forward to more gameplay, the game officially marks the last for the developers. Although it's currently unclear whether the franchise will get passed on to pastures new. But according to Naughty Dog's Arnie Meyer, the team are sending Nathan Drake out in style.
So at the end of Uncharted 4, we've put together a great closing chapter for Nathan Drake and his adventures. I think it feels really great for us to wrap up some of his storylines and answer some of his questions. I hope our fans feel the same way. And it feels a good time for us to step away from the entire series.
Almost 10 years on, the team are certainly feeling emotional about saying goodbye to the series. A fact that couldn't ring more true than to one man in particular, the actor behind Nathan, Nolan North.
It's been one of the most rewarding characters I've ever been handed because from the get-go I was encouraged to put as much of myself into this character as possible. And it has just been the greatest ride of my life these last 10 years.
And as the ride is over for the team, Uncharted can live on in the memories of players and developers alike. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, marks a beautiful finale to a spectacular series.